Add-ons show and tell, where we show and or tell exciting add-ons related projects. So we'll go ahead and get started with Kumar.
Yeah, let me just share the screen. Yeah, so I've been showing little bits and pieces of this new UI we're working on to let reviewers add comments directly to the add-on code while they're reviewing add-on submissions. And we have kind of sort of like an end-to-end flow that I can show today. So it's a little rough, but this is sort of where we're at right now. That this will let reviewers kind of sort of go through the process. So you'll see here I'm in the reviewer tools homepage, and let's say that I'm looking for some new add-ons that have been submitted, and I'm going to scroll down the list here. I'm going to find a newly submitted add-on, and then down sort of in the add-on history area, I can jump over to the code manager with this contents link. And I can poke around the add-on. I could go through the files and take a look at everything that was submitted. And if I wanted to submit a comment about something, like right here, there's an issue with one of the permissions. So I could say, I could scroll down right here, and you'll see this plus sign that'll allow me to add a comment. I could say something like, this permission isn't supported. You know, it's there's an issue with like the version of Firefox that supports this permission. So I could say something like that, and we have this feature where I can also change my mind. I can discard the comment and then delete it just like that with a little confirmation. I can save it. And when I save it, I get a icon over here in the file letting me know that there's a comment. So if there's lots of comments in nested folders, then the folder itself would get an icon. And when I'm done, there's kind of this probably just a temporary solution for now, but a way to summarize all the comments just in like a text form. So I could go here and copy and paste some text, and then there's a link to the reviewer tools, which takes me back to the reviewer tools as you'd expect. Then I could go down to the approval board and then paste in my comments. So as I said, it's kind of rough, but this should allow people, reviewers, to start using the commenting feature, and eventually this copy and paste step, you know, won't be necessary. But this is sort of just, yeah, that's where we're at right now. And there's also going to be I think the more interesting feature is going to be when we can add these canned responses in line, which is really the most important thing, because that will allow us to start to analyze the common review kind of reasons things get rejected and flagged, etc. So yeah, commenting, it's been going on for a while. I know I've shared a little bit in the past, but yeah, there we are. You are muted.
I'm totally muted. Super cool. Are there any questions or comments for Kumar?
I love it. Great stuff.
You said that you wanted in the future to analyze those rejection reasons. Do you have something in mind, some tools to do this, or?
Yeah, Andreas could probably speak to that, but with the canned responses, the idea is that we'll have the same, reviewers would be adding, selecting the comment, from a list. So we would have more of a database of how many times the same comment gets applied to different add-ons, for example.
The canned responses also help us as of now, as they do now. They help us stay consistent in the messaging. And that's also one thing that we would like to see even more is canned responses, because we know they contain all the information that we want to provide to them.
That's good to know. I thought that you guys wanted us to only use as much as possible the canned responses to limit the problems that back and forth with the developers asking questions about our comments. But it's good that to know that in the future it could be used for analytics as well.
Cool. Thanks for sharing, Kumar. All right, looks like next we're going to turn over to Sylvain.
Good. I have nothing to show. It's just I've started to play with Chrome Canary for V3 migration for some of our extensions. We'll get a lot of stuff to do. The biggest would be to move everything from everything that we're doing in background pages to service workers. This includes having getting our data to persist properly with the storage APIs. But that's basically it. It's slow work, but basically starting to play with Canary and to see how much work we need to do with this for next year.
May I ask you a couple of questions, Sylvain? I mean, if it's too long, we can keep discussing later, but I want to bring up to right now. Your extension were using event pages, like non-persistent background pages before, or you are migrating from persistent background page to like the service worker?
We're migrating from persistent background pages to service workers.
And the data was stored elsewhere, like in IndexedDB, some place that wasn't the storage API?
Mostly all in local storage.
Local storage.
Yeah.
So, and how the thing will be migrated? I mean, you could probably open a page, right, and then retrieve the data from local storage, because at some point you have to migrate the data from an existing installation from local storage to storage local, so that is available in the background service worker. So I guess that you need to open a page because there wouldn't be local storage in the service worker.
Right. We're not exactly sure how we'll migrate those users so far, but yeah, that's probably how we'll do it, yes.
And yeah, I guess that you are not planning yet to use any of the features that the service worker itself would provide, right? It's just making work the background page in a way that works without the DOM.
Yeah, and I want to go slowly because there's still a lot of things that doesn't work or it's still not implemented. It's just test for now. I'm mostly waiting for premises to be ready to go because we'll need to rewrite most of the code anyway. So it's just testing for now.
Well, I will probably bother you again and again to know more.
Sure, no problem.
Thank you for bringing it up.
I'll try to as soon as I got new information regarding this, how it works, how it's doing, maybe do some demos in the next months for the show and tells. I'll do it.
Great, thank you.
Okay, cool beans. Next, if he's got a stable connection, Andrew's next on the list. It looks like he's having some connectivity problems. So let's circle back to him and hand it over to Mark.
Cool. I will try and share my screen. Share, that looked promising.
There we go.
Yeah. Cool. So I've been working on pulling out the disable option, which used to be in these cards, and putting it on the card itself. So now you can see on the extension list page that you can enable or disable themes from the list. And the reordering, since you're now like clicking something on the card, doesn't happen until you like move away. So you can see that I've enabled this. It's still in the same spot, but when I move out of the list, it'll flip over. And that stays there on the detail page. And we can see on the extensions list, we've got these little toggles now. So you can go through and, enable, or like a common complaint is that people just want to reload in an extension and they have to like open the card and then go find it in the disabled section and then open it again. And it's kind of annoying. You could just turn it off and then turn it on again and it'll stay where it was. So this was hoping to land it this week, but I got some test failures on Windows and Linux, unfortunately, that I'm still working through. But soft freeze is Monday, so hopefully this will be in 72. And it has keyboard support as well. So as long as you're tabbing through these options, it won't just like reorder them, which I'd imagine was very annoying for screen reader users, to just like be tabbing through and then have the order totally change. So that's how it will work from now on. That's about it.
I'm sure we will solve those test issues.
Yeah, I thought I had it for sure yesterday. There we go. I did a try build at the end of the day yesterday and thought I definitely had nailed it this time. And then I checked at home and it still failed. So yeah, some more Windows debugging to be done. But it does work on Windows. It's just the tests behave slightly differently, I guess. So they're failing. So
it is failing on Linux too?
Yeah, I think one of them, Linux passed on the opt build, but failed on the debug build.
Okay,
so it's some sort of like timing issue that's kind of going on. I'm a little curious if I just put like set timeouts in there before I did stuff, if it would work.
I'll try to pull it and try locally.
Cool, thanks.
All right, it's looking good, Mark. Any other questions or comments? Okay, looks like Andrew is still having some problems. I'm gonna skip the administrivia until the end. So it looks like Sylvain asked a question about Firefox Color. So Firefox Color, I don't have a demo at the moment. It would take a couple minutes to spin it up. Firefox Color is coming along okay. It's slow going, but we're targeting December 4th for a release that's going to introduce a notification about how much storage is currently being used against total storage available. So people will have a sense now that when they add images, when they add custom background images, that it is being stored locally, and that there are some limits that they might appear to. We're also introducing, we're trying to close some of the loops about like how users can clear local storage without having to go into the DevTools storage inspector and manually clear it. So the UI is going to change a little bit so that when you start removing custom images, custom background images, it'll actually get removed from local storage. So there were we got stuck with a couple flows about checking saved themes to see if those images were in the saved themes, and then pulling the images from the saved themes, and like running through a couple different use cases. And then there's also a notification that comes up. So when you exceed your storage limit, you get prompted to delete your themes to clear up some space. It's just like, I don't know, it's just like the flow, like trying to map out all the different like flows about how people would need to like know to clear their space and how to do that successfully. So yeah, we just have a couple things that we need to polish up, and then we're looking at release on December 4th. We've got a patch up that's going to need some community testing for previewing scaled background images. So one of the problems right now is that the scaling looks really weird between the preview and like what actually shows up on the browser space. So we're going to need some testing from that, because I'm not sure what the theme users like would prefer, or like how close we need to get in order for them to be able to feel like they can preview confidently. And then probably after we get back from the new year, we're going to be looking at building out a feature that's going to publish the themes to AMO directly without having to download the XPI and then go over to AMO. So that's coming up in the future. But yeah, it's slow progress, but it's steady. So just keep your eyes open for the new release. And you can play around with it on Stage right now. You have to make a couple tweaks to the XPI file so that it recognizes the Stage URL and not the local server. But yeah, you can test us out and let us know how it's going. Any questions about Firefox Color? All right, cool. We're going to circle back now to Will for Will. Take it away.
Hey, I wanted to demo the Firefox abuse report integration in IMO. So let me share my screen. Okay. So the button for reporting an abuse hasn't changed, but now, assuming all the prefs are set correctly, and it's Firefox Nightly or Firefox 71, I guess. When clicking on the button, can you actually see this? Maybe not.
Yeah, I guess not, because it's a different window, right?
Yeah, well then
you have to share the desktop, I think, to get both.
Sure. Yeah. Although, well, my tiling manager did working. So yeah, well, anyway. So on the left, there is still AMO. On the right, this is the quite huge Firefox pop-up to report an abuse. And so obviously it's working. This has landed last week in production only for web extensions. And this week, tonight actually, I think, oh no, next week we'll land the feature for Sims as well. Because Luca was working on 2 fixes for this. And yeah, the rest of the flow is the same as before, and then boom, abuse reported in dev, so that's why I could enter anything. And I guess that's it. If we go to another add-on that is not a web extension or a sim, then we fall back to the previous way of reporting an abuse. And that's it.
Another thing that we are doing with this dialog that we were not doing with the integrated one is being able to report an extension that is not installed, but still listed on AMO. That is kind of a new feature that is not so visible, but is there. Thank you, William.
So the extension has to be installed for that?
No, it doesn't need. Like if you have installed, the metadata is taken from the installed extension. If it's not installed, we ask Emo for the metadata and we fill it from there. So we need
you need to what?
It needs to be listed to be able
right.
to process the metadata.
Well, I was also curious. So after you submitted the report, it showed that it had been submitted on the page. What happens if you refresh that page? Will it still say that?
No. Same as before. It's stored in the Redux state. So if you refresh, then you get the button again.
Yeah, we don't store anywhere that you submitted the report. So when the report is gone, we don't know anymore. Even on the Firefox side, we cannot tell you already submitted a report for this extension.
Right.
Does reporting unlisted extensions work in Firefox if you have it installed?
If you have it installed, yes. The only problem is that we cannot ask Emo for the metadata if it's not installed, because in that case, it's behind the authentication. So it fails, basically.
And Luca, are we going to support more add-on types, like dictionaries, for instance?
So from an implementation perspective, we can, as long as we get the strings and the categories for the other types. So right now we have the categories for extension and themes. The themes one, if you notice, are significantly different, are less, and the description sometimes changes. So we need the same for the dictionary and lang packs, as an example. And at that point, we can make it supported in Firefox. And at that point, Emo can ask Firefox for those.
Okay.
Great. Good stuff. Andrew, take it away.
Yes. I finally made it into the meeting after various technical difficulties. Okay, so I'm going to do the always and wise thing of trying to do a live demo of code which is kind of not even been landed on dev yet. So let's see how that works. So let me just see if I can share. Share screen. Okay, so can you see my Firefox?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, good. So I've been working on a new block list administration tool that will eventually feed in to the existing block list, and then later next year allow us to serve a third version of block list v3, which uses a different way of encoding it called CR Lite. But this is just a tool I'm demoing here, and what actually happens with the block list data after it's been filled in. That part's still kind of a Q1 and onwards task. So anyone who doesn't understand the terminology, the block list is what Firefox uses to disable certain add-ons if we decide they are problematic. So it's all based around GUIDs. So this is built into what's called Django Admin. It's like a backend interface to the website. So we press add block, and you get an interface where you can type any number of GUIDs. I'm going to show you the multi GUID inputs just because it's more interesting than the single one. So I'm going to include some GUIDs that we've already blocked, or I already blocked when I was testing around earlier. And I'm going to try and find one that hasn't already been used. And okay, so there's 3 GUIDs there, and I'm going to type in a nonsense one as well. You press submit, and it takes you to a page which has queried all the GUIDs you've entered and has tried to work out if those GUIDs were found. And if they are found, then how many users they've got. There's links to the listed review page, or on an unlisted review page if you had any unlisted versions. And any GUIDs which have already been blocked in their entirety from 0 to maximum version ever, they're ignored. But new ones are listed here, and any GUIDs which have only blocked for a partial part of the range at the moment that we want to override. So we type in a URL if there's a URL we want to type in. Let's see. Some reason I've got a marketplace URL as my most frequently used thing, so let's block marketplace. And type in a reason. This is bad. And then you save, and yeah, then it basically saves the GUIDs that you've already done. And if any of them, I'm just gonna hit refresh now. Yep, and there's the most recent one there, 6.8 blah 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 blah. Just confirm that that's actually worked. That's not actually working properly. Okay, so what's supposed to happen is the new one's supposed to be there, and yeah, that's actually one of the other ones that it showed as being on the existing one. It should have showed it in the other list, and you can see it's recorded that it's happened, block edited, blah 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 blah, but it's missing one as well. And so this is the danger of doing last minute changes before you do a demo of some things. You change something inadvertently. But yeah, this is a tool. When it works, it will allow us to edit single block lists or paste in potentially thousands of different GUIDs and block them. That's it.
Got 2 questions.
Yep.
So this is a flow that the admins are doing after a Bugzilla entry has been filed.
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, and
the URL field would typically be the Bugzilla URL, I believe.
And what happened when you submit an already blocked extension, but it was only partially blocked before because of the versions, for example?
You mean submit to AMO or?
No, to this new block list webpage that you've shown us. If you try to submit an already blocked extension, but it was only partially blocked because only one version, for example, is blocked.
Sure. If it's a single thing, I should probably show you. So say we want to play with this one. If it's a single one, whoops, that's not what I want to do. That button there, add. So if you try and block a single one, it actually just redirects you to the edit page for it, basically, and it will allow you to actually change it. If it's as part of a big list of them, because the big lists, the multi-blocks can only be 0 to maximum, it would just override it. It would replace it. It would update the existing block with 0 to star. And obviously add a history line as well.
All right. Thanks.
What was the URL field about? You mentioned that maybe it was like a bug. It was for Bugzilla links. Is that right?
Yeah, the bugs, the blocks are typically at the moment as a result of Bugzilla entries, bugs, and that would usually be the URL entered in there, and that gets stored in the block list that gets distributed. And I think it's also used to kind of generate a web page of the list of blocks.
Do you know if the reason is going to be a public public information or more internal?
I believe it is public, yes.
Okay. And when we are blocking add-ons, it doesn't mean it's a malware. Could be for other reasons, right?
Yeah. Is Andreas on this call? Don't think so.
He just left.
Okay.
Yes, it could be for multiple reasons, including not necessarily malware.
Would it be possible, or would it make sense to have a flag to say that this is a block for a malware, so that we have good IDs of malware, and then maybe we can get that into the code corpus somehow?
Yeah, I think that would make sense.
It's possible that could be added in addition. For the pure block list, that's this severity, which is actually something similar to what you're talking about, which is the ability to say this is really bad and this just is a bit buggy, and breaks most people, but you can enable it if you want to re-enable it, which for the two kind of severity levels, that's actually been taken out of this new version, because I just decided there was no such thing as an optional block. But yeah, I mean, because this is all in AMO, we could easily add extra integrations to do other things with it when you block it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I think what Will was referring to was just an internal flag that we wouldn't expose anywhere.
Yeah, just for us, because we need to grow our code corpus to train our machine learning stuff and so on.
Yeah, could be.
Andrew, I noticed that there is that checkbox to include the block item in the XML one or not.
Yeah.
Is that enabled by default right now, that we are still in the progress of migrating?
It's not enabled by default. I see right now it doesn't do anything. This tool, it's just the data is generated, it doesn't go anywhere. We haven't written that part yet. That'll be next year probably when it's all up and running. But the idea is that it wouldn't be enabled by default, because this tool is designed to kind of output in v3 a new kind of more compact format that in theory will allow thousands, millions of blocks to be staged and sent to the client in a nice way. And the existing legacy block list can't handle that kind of scale. So the idea would be that anything particularly high profile could be included in legacy, and it would be blocked in legacy clients, old versions of Firefox. But the anything which was kind of bulk, you would block in like a 10,000 GUIDs, you wouldn't include that in legacy.
So it's important only later when we started the migration and we want to still block important stuff on the version that are using the legacy one, but don't want to like make it slower and slower and slower over the time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. I have a quick question for our remaining folks. Our next meeting is December 19th, which is coming up really close to holiday break for a lot of folks for at least Western Christmas. Do we want to keep the demos meeting on December 19th? I'll be around. I was just curious if other folks would come if we had it that late in the season.
I can be there.
Me too, seems far enough from Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd probably be there.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's keep it. All right, so we'll see y'all next month. Thanks everybody for coming to show and tell and for the great shares. We'll see you later. Have a great one today.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks, Gretchen.